Welcome. Before we get into the content of today's video, I just wanted to announce that I've started a brand new YouTube channel. It's going to be a supplement to this channel. It's called Ask Sunny Questions. Over there, you can submit questions to me, and I select a few every week, and I answer them in short form videos, so like 5 to 15 minutes. It's going to be a massive help. Please check the link out in the description box and subscribe over there so that you do not miss those videos. I'm going to be posting a few times per week. I've already started posting videos over there, so you can go check them out after you've watched this video. So today's video is going to offer you a massive paradigm shift. Here it goes. The greatest obstacle to understanding oneself is the belief, I am the body. And this idea, I am the body, has to be discarded. This identification with the body has to be discarded. So just want to go over that today. I want to share with you a visual that will also help you implement this in your practice, and just we'll talk about the intricate ways on like how to integrate this rather than just creating another belief that I am not the body. So this is a visual that I've shared with you. Like I've shared a visual similar to this with you before. And this is just a new way of seeing the world. This is just a new way of going about your experience, something that you have to constantly return to. When we talk about, okay, dissolving identification with the body, with the person, how do you really do that? You know, it's not like something you actually do. You can't fight against the identification. You can't just create another belief about it. It's just a different paradigm altogether. It's a different way of seeing. So when we come to this practice, the way we see the world is like, right, I'm the person and I'm journeying in this world. I am a person and I have an awareness, and I am, growing in that capacity or learning or trying to, I the person am aware of my experience. I am aware as a person. I, the person, am trying to learn about my true nature, which is something beyond and somewhere over there. So you see, at the core of our being, there's like a denseness. There's a very dense, limited identity, right? Personhood is very limited. Personal identity is very limited. So that is how we begin. And that is just what we can call our conditioning. When it comes to dissolving identification with the person that we take ourselves to be, it is a practice. It is not a one-time seeing. It is not, you chasing some sort of high-end meditation or one-time shift where everything will be different. That may happen in some cases. We have maybe read about some people who, that has occurred. It's not something you need to seek, and don't expect it. Simply carry on with the practice that has been laid out before us. The teachings have given us a path, and that is the only thing that is in our control that we can walk. So what we are going to discuss today is going to be about the steps we can take, about the view that we can hold, about how can we see our experience in the way that this understanding that I am the person only in appearance springs forth naturally, and that the obstacle to this seeing is naturally removed. Okay? So I've created sort of like 3 layers. The first layer is what we can call physical existence, physical world, physical realm. And this is just like what we call physical objects. And actually this includes the body as well. And everything circumstantial, everything situational, the world as we know it. But as you'll know, this isn't the entirety of your experience. There's also many subtle components of your experience which you are aware of. So that we can call mind, or subtle experience, subtle existence. or mental existence, mental experience. This includes thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations. Honestly, we can just say that those are just all sensations of different sorts. But yes, if we need to really further describe them, we can say thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions. This is what the subtle realm of experience. Now, here and now, there's awareness of experience. Here and now, there's a presence which illuminates this experience. You don't need to be spiritual in order to acknowledge that. You know that you are aware of your experience. You know that there is experience. Why do you know that? Because there's awareness of experience. So this is awareness or being. Now, one thing that I'll say now that we'll talk a little bit more about later, whatever has existence doesn't have being. Whatever has existence has only momentary being. Whatever has existence, either physical or mental, is untrue. It is transient. It is false. This is something we have to contemplate deeply. Whatever has existence, whatever appears and disappears, is untrue. Whatever comes and goes has no being. It only appears to exist. This statement itself, as our practice matures, we understand at a deeper and deeper, subtler and subtler depth. So we'll talk about that more later. But okay, so the main problem the main obstacle, right? Which as when we began this, I said, Ramana Maharshi said the main obstacle to understanding or what we have to discard is identification with the body. So when we begin this practice, we take I to be a bundle of these objects. We take I to be person, which is a culmination of subtle existence and physical existence. It is like a package of thoughts, emotions, sensations, and you can put body in there too. It's funny when we get into like describing all of these things. You can just say there is no body apart from sensations and whatnot. So just bear with me. It's not so fully accurate, but it gets a point across and it will certainly help you in your practice. Even this diagram is not 100% fully accurate, and you'll see that it evolves with the practice. But it like seeing it in this way will definitely help you with your practice. So just it doesn't have to be 100% accurate right now, but like you'll see that it helps you integrate the practice, and that's all that matters for me. So when we come into this practice, we say, I, the person, am aware. If you could just follow my mouse, that'd be good. You say, I, the body and mind, with a name and a function, have awareness, am aware. This is the main mistake, assumption that in this teaching is being said to be the main obstacle. So this is what we have to ponder. This is the hypothesis that we have to take and then confirm in our experience, because only through experimentation and observation does this conviction grow. I, the person, am aware. You see, the person is not aware. You, being, awareness, are aware of the person. This is the shift that has to take place. This is how you have to start to see life. This is how we have to start perceiving experience. Right now, all of these objects that exist have taken my being. They have falsely claimed realness. Now I have to gain myself back. I have to discern what I really am, what is actually true, what has being, rather than just momentary existence. So you see, like, even if you look in your experience right now, forget looking at the screen, look at your, maybe the room that you're sitting in, you know, in on the sense level, the sense perception level, it creates a world that you are aware of, right? This is what we call the physical world. There is no, acknowledge how there is no physical world apart from the senses. So this is what we can call the physical world. But in your experience right now, you also are maybe thinking, thinking's happening. Maybe you're feeling joy or sadness or nothing. Or maybe you're feeling pain or achiness in the body or some amazing energy. It doesn't matter, right? There's a subtler aspect of your experience that the senses cannot capture, yet you know it, you are aware of it. And then also acknowledge awareness. There's awareness of experience. But you see, awareness, unlike your sensations or thoughts, unlike the objects in this room, unlike the body, you cannot give a form to. Even in this visual, we have awareness depicted as a light shining, but even that is actually a form. Even light is a form. But awareness of experience, you can't really look for it anywhere. It doesn't exist as an object. It is, yet it does not exist. What exists, it stands out, it stands apart. It is one thing versus another. But awareness or being, it is, but it does not stand apart. So looking into our experience right now, we have these sort of what we can call the three layers, right? Of experiencing. We have the physical, which is the sense perceptions. We have then the subtle, which is the mind. And then we have awareness or being, which is what you here and now feel as self. What you here and now feel as I. What you here and now feel as now. Presence. Truth. Everything that exists, mental or physical, comes after you. You awareness, no. The you that I'm speaking of is not, John or Lisa or Sunny. I'm not speaking to you name and form. You don't have a name and form. You don't have a shape. You don't have a story. You don't have a size. You cannot move. You cannot think. You cannot feel. You cannot do. When you say things like that, you're actually just referring to what you are aware of. You're talking about what you are watching, what you know. You're not talking about yourself. If you say, I think, I'm here to argue that that's a false statement. You do not think. That statement is only relatively true when I speak to you personally and you're talking about, just like in regular language. That's fine. But here, right now, that's a false statement. I do not do anything. I cannot do anything. I simply am. I, not the person, am. I am. The person is something I'm aware of. I'm aware of as an activity happening. You see the massive shift in paradigm where previously the person, the body mind, was the seeming subject from where I was living life. And I take awareness to be just something that I possess somewhere happening inside my head or for unknown purposes or causes. Like, so why is Ramana Maharshi saying that this is the main obstacle to understanding, this belief in oneself as a person? Because body identification is the root of all the confusion. There arises all suffering. There arises all confusion. There arises all concern. Nothing to battle against. But that's what we're doing here today. We're looking at a new way of seeing things that can melt all of this confusion. The old paradigm is really hard wound, and it's like it's like it's almost solidified because it has been practiced for so long. I don't want to hear that, oh, I'm just too stuck in my old ways, or I come from a scientific or logical background. All that is nonsense. That's another belief bought into, given being. The whole paradigm will start to reverse and shift and melt. It doesn't have any power once you start to see things in this way. No mental doubt, no anything else is strong enough to hold this back, this whole restructuring of the paradigm process from happening if you just really start to see the world in this way and really start to confirm this in your experience. Truly start to see that. So firstly, in moments of practice, let go of personal identity. Just at least take it as an hypothesis. Stop identifying as a person. When you say I, it's no longer referring to the person. See that what you are referring to at the heart of your experience as self is not a form, is not a thing. You can say maybe presence or awareness of experience, and you need not create an image of that because no image can contain it. No image would be true. It would be another thought, which is also something you're aware of. So as long as we remain a mere person doing a spiritual practice, sure, you'll get some relief and you'll get some nice experiences and maybe some bliss and this and that, but like it will always remain limited. A genuine seeker must question their idea of themselves, their self-image. When you say I, notice how an image of your face or your name arises in your mind. That's not you. That's just another thought that I am aware of. I, awareness or being. And again, I don't like using those words as like another like where we just start to personify that. The mind just hops onto even that as an identity. We use the name for language purposes and for descriptions, but like don't attribute anything to that. Here and now, it's present. You are present, not it. Not it is present and you as a person know it. No, you are present. And the person is something you see happening. Start to notice that you are aware as that right now. Not you, the person, are aware as that. No, you, awareness or being, know, experience. How do you do this? How do you practice this? This is the main practice of self-inquiry. Constantly, any obstacle that arises or any doubt that arises, any thought that arises, whatever it says, it does not matter. But you continue to acknowledge that awareness is prior to it. I awareness am prior to it. And just like look at your experience throughout your entire life, the mental layer has always been changing, right? It has momentary existence. Things are constantly shuffling around, being replaced by one another. There's no stability here, there's no self here. The physical layer is, you already know that. It's constantly changing. There's no stability here, there's no self here, there's no uh stability. There's no you here. It's constant change. Yet, no matter how much life has changed, there has been this sense of identity permeating in the entire experience in any given moment. The sense of identity is something we have to fall in love with on our quest for self discovery. This sense of identity is the biggest hint of truth inside of transient, illusory experience, inside of appearance. No doubt should matter to you. No fear should matter to you. No resistance should matter to you. Once this teaching is coming into your life, and if you resonate with it, you have to dive head first into this. Having total devotion and faith to it. Why do you have total devotion and faith to it? Is this because like you're just seeing the unreality of both these layers, mental and physical. You're seeing that they have no being. They're entirely transient, and they have no self. The self accompanies all these changeful realities, and that is what you are trying to discover. What is true? And that is why, we say like anything you are aware of, discard it as not self. You are prior to it. You, that which is aware, is prior to it. This is why this dissolves the seeming reality, solidity of the person that you take yourself to be. Because every single time when you continue to return to the acknowledgement of being aware, the acknowledgement that awareness is prior to whatever you are aware of, there's no person in that. There's no idea of self in that. There's no even notion of spiritual practice in that. There's no expectation in that. All of these things are something you're aware of. Yet you're constantly taking that backward step of acknowledging the self that is aware, free from any idea about what it is. That is an idealist, conceptless position of being, which I like to call the doorway to truth, the doorway to wisdom. I found this to be the only helpful thing in the entire spiritual practice, the main essence of it all. Everything is secondary. We can talk about many practices, and we did on our last conversation. We laid out many different ways of or aspects of the spiritual journey, but this is the essence of it. This is the direct path also. Seeing here and now myself. So notice how different this is from seeing the world in the usual way, where you are constantly filtering everything through your self-image, the idea that you have of yourself. Even this moment, there's an assumption that I am sitting here listening to Sunny speak. I, the person, am sitting here listening to Sunny speak. Now, how could you see it in this way, in this new way? Just ponder that for a moment before I say it. And don't just think about it, actually see it in that way, if you can. If you find thoughts are constantly happening, that's okay. But what's happening even more than thoughts is the awareness of them. And it's not even happening, it's just there. Acknowledge the awareness which is prior to thoughts. Acknowledge awareness, am prior to thinking happening. You have to be very alert in this sort of practice. So you see, even this experience, the call happening, so the words being heard, the body sitting, listening. Just acknowledge that that's the physical layer of the experience right now. It is being observed. It is being seen. And perhaps the thinking, trying to resolve it or understand it, or maybe the pain being felt in the body, or confusion arising, that's the mental layer. You are aware of both. You are aware of both. Don't associate that awareness with your name or your form. Awareness is prior to both. Awareness is subtler than both. Physicality being totally dense and seemingly rigid, right? The mental being way more like a gaseous state, right? Flows, very abstract. Yet you, awareness, are even prior to and subtler than even that gaseous mind. You're subtler than even air. You're subtler than even mental space. Then maybe notice yourself like trying to constantly create an image of that. Don't create any image of it. In many religions, they say don't hold any image of God. That's what they're referring to. Any image you create, now it's not it anymore. Any idea you create, that's not it anymore. It's not you. It's not source. You have defined it, therefore limited it, therefore made it mental or physical. It's not it. It can represent it. It can it can express something about it, but it cannot be it. And therefore you cannot know it in that way. To know it is to be it. To know about it is to just make it something that it is no longer it. So I hope this is making sense, and I hope that it's like a easy visual that you can always use to constantly maybe like contextualize this practice. You're returning to the awareness which is prior to and subtler than everything you know. And I do not deny that you are also the person in appearance. And I say, be that person, do and live your life. I do the same. However, do not fool yourself into thinking that this is you, because trust me, years will pass and this will keep on changing. And this is just, you will not find any self in it. So we have to have the courage, and we have to be willing and open to question this assumption. Don't put anything after I am. I am is the proclamation of your being aware. Anything you put after I am, for example, I am this, I am thinking, I am feeling, I am walking, I am doing, it's not an accurate statement. It's only relatively true in the world. The practice of self-inquiry meditation is to isolate the amness. It's to recognize that this emness is prior to and subtler than all form. And it's to be that without any idea, without holding any name or image or shape or uh, description, judgment, because all of those things are a step down into the mental layer. You've taken shape, you've taken form, and therefore you are no longer receptive. You've stepped into the clouds. Regardless of how much spiritual practice you have or have not done, there's a presence here. See it in this context. Acknowledge how it, and confirm in your experience. You have to constantly, in your practice, confirm this in your experience, how it is prior to and subtler than everything you know. Everything you know comes and goes. I, presence, see, all change. The only thing that does not change is that which does not appear, that which does not exist as an object. Again, as I said earlier, we would come back to this. Anything that has existence does not have being. Anything that exists is not true. That includes you, that includes, I'm talking now personally, your idea of yourself, that includes me, that includes the speaking, that includes the hearing, that includes the thinking, that includes this entire story of world. It's all appearance, it's all dream. We suffer it because we give it so much reality. Our entire sense of reality, being, is invested in a dream, appearance. This is you taking yourself back from mere appearance. Don't fall to questions like, oh, what is taking itself back? Oh, this, that. I don't care about that non-dual language, and neither should you. The path has been laid out. Practice. And all these questions will be answered and doubts addressed only through practice. The way to answer doubts are not by pursuing them, but through returning to your selfness. It is the seat of silent being. Silent because it is wordless, conceptless, notionless. And in that purity, all delusion will melt. All impressions will melt. All conditioning will fade away, little by little, gradually, just like the clouds thinning away, revealing the light that is beyond it. But as long as we continue to filter our experience with this personal self-image, this knowledge cannot mature. You see why now? Because it is just like it's like constantly keeping a filter on your phone. Like right here, let's say like I'm trying to take a photo, but I have a filter here. As long as the filter remains, I cannot see correctly. I cannot see it for what it is. I will always see through the filter. So the filter has to be let go of. Applying this will dissolve pretty much every single obstacle that you're having in your spiritual practice, hands down. No way it stays. And you will start to see how like referring to self as like, person, referring to person as self is the root cause of all problems, spiritual and personal. You'll also notice that the more you discover your impersonal being, your true identity, the personal life becomes much easier and simpler and less friction. You'll realize that all the dysfunction in your life was happening because of whom it was happening. The one I took myself to be, on behalf of whom all this dysfunction and suffering I'm self creating. So the personal identity can only live on in your being unaware of yourself as you really are. The mind says, oh my God, but like, oh, I'm going to lose my personal identity. Like, that's nonsense. Don't let the mind convince you very cunningly to keep just giving mind reality. I found that the more that we discover our true identity, the more freedom we have in our personal expression. And then it can be just that, like a mask that you wear to a party and you're acting like that individual, like, but you don't, that it's just an appearance. You see? As a person, I resist everything that happens. I have many agendas. I'm constantly trying to control and manipulate. It's just constant friction. But as being, experience is just flowing. The life of the person is being what it is meant to be. And as what will I have resistance to it? Can being or knowing have any resistance? So we are discovering our resistanceless being. We're discovering ourself, which is incapable of resisting and therefore suffering. So, so powerful. Such a simple practice, but a total paradigm shift. And with the paradigm shift, it's almost like, when you, if so there's a fire and there's a lot of black smoke coming off of the fire. If you want the smoke to go, you have to put out the fire. If you try to just like take a like you hold up a vacuum or something in front of the smoke and or an exhaust or and you're taking the smoke out, but as long as the fire is burning, the smoke will keep happening. So the fire is the personal identity. You have to put out that fire. The smoke is the constant friction and the problems and the suffering and the confusion, even the spiritual practice obstacles. So as we carry on with the call today, I invite you to keep returning to seeing your experience in this way. Keep seeing how I refers to presence, not anything here, not the body, not the thoughts, not my idea of myself, which is also a thought. I refers to presence. Be as you are. Be the presence which illuminates this experience. You are already that. Acknowledge that. And just the experience will just flow. It will happen. When you talk or when you move or when you work, you don't cease to be that presence which is illuminating experience. And we come to know that only through time, in time, through the practice. When you practice this in the beginning, of course, like it's only doable in moments where you're just silently sitting, withdrawing from the senses. But then you'll find that you're able to practice more and more, even when the senses are, when you're back in the realm of the senses and when there's all this action and movement, the light which illuminates the movement is never, it's not missing. Accompanying every experience, even one maybe when you're out with your family in the mall and there's tons of people and whatnot, even that is an experience, right? Accompanied by presence. I, even in that instance, denotes presence, not person. And we come to start seeing that. Nothing to look forward to. Start here. That's all you can do, and that's all you must do, all you need to do. And lastly, see as presence, you have no problem. As presence, you have no expectation. As presence, you're not even trying to realize or become something. You're not even doing any spiritual practice. As presence, all those concepts, ideas go out the window, and you simply are, and you know. Dwell in your essential being. That's the teaching. That's the practice. That is the direct path, as people call it. I really hope that that video helped you. Sit with what you heard today. Contemplate it. Brew in it in meditation. Make sure to subscribe to my brand new channel down below, Ask Sunny Questions, so that you do not miss any videos over there. Join my free community that goes alongside of that channel. I'll link that down below as well. But if you need more private help from me and you're wanting to join my program, School of Awakening, I'll link that down below as well. Learn all the details about it and apply to join if you want to work with me in this new year. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.